Are you ready to explore the exciting tech world like never before? Welcome to Better You, the podcast where we dissect the latest in business, technology, and startup trends, all with a keen focus on growth. So buckle up and get ready to stay ahead of the curve. Let's make you a better you.
Welcome to episode 4 of Better You. I'm your host, Neeraj, and today we are going to talk about an interesting topic: why early stage startups should stay away from sales runbooks. Now, when you are launching a startup, there's a lot of pressure to have everything figured out from day one. It's very tempting to lean established sales strategies, runbooks, and it does feel like that's the right thing to do, where you can put together a step-by-step guide to your success. But today, I'm here to tell you why that might not be the best approach. Because if you are a Series A, pre-seed, seed, Series B, and marching towards Series C, I am going to tell you that if you're putting together a sales runbook, it's not a good idea. Let's tap into it. Why? First off, let me define what a sales runbook looks like. A sales runbook is basically a manual that outlines processes, scripts, strategies, or different techniques that your sales team should follow. So you can imagine that it's a very detailed, structured, and a solid plan for your sales team to execute. Now, from my experience, I can tell you that this is a great idea for a larger and more established companies who have identified the right ICP, ideal customer profile, and they have proven the products and they have some predictability on their customer base. But mark my word on this, for early stage startups, it's not a good idea. Here is why. Reason number 1. Your flexibility is your key to success. In the early stage startup, they are always in a constant flux because your product is evolving, your market understanding is deepening as you're talking to more people and as you're getting more feedback from your customers and as you're shaping the direction of your product. So if you are going to follow a solid run book as part of your sales strategy, that is a huge mistake because, as I mentioned, flexibility is a key. You are still in constant flux of developing your product market fit. Let me share a story from my personal experience. I was with a startup. We were still trying to figure out our product market fit. We had an early version of our product, but our customers, they were looking for something very specific, and now we had to change the product direction to acquire this particular customer, and it was a pretty big customer for us. So if we had a rigid sales run book, we would have missed out on the conversations that we were having with this prospect, potential customer, because during the sales process, they were giving us valuable feedback that helped us to pivot and improve our offering. So imagine for a second, if I did not listen to the customer carefully, if I didn't pivot during the conversations, I would have lost that sale. So point number 1, flexibility is your key. You have to stay flexible. But when you have a run book and when you are promising your investors that you're going to follow a run book, you're kicking yourself because that is a huge mistake. Stay flexible at the early stage. Now, reason number 2, why sales run books, they suck. Discovery over execution. Let me explain this. At the stage you are still discovering who's your ideal customers, which is ICP. What are their pain points? And what's the best way to solve them? So you are discovering your customer and your customer's pain point But if you're going into a conversation with the mindset that you have a strong sales run book and you're not going to come out of the box of Runbook, that you are going to lose that opportunity. Another example, a friend of mine, he co-founded a SaaS startup that was aiming towards project management for small businesses, SMBs. In the early days, they did not have a Runbook. Instead, their sales team was constantly experimenting with different messaging, outreach strategies, sending out the emails in a different way, a lot of A/B testing. And as they were following this iterative process, it helped them to uncover a specific niche in the market segment, which they did not think about earlier. Now, this flexibility in the approach in this process that allowed them to discover and capitalize on a new customer base, which they didn't know. So again, discovery over execution instead of following a sales run book. Reason number 3, customization trumps over standardization. In the early stage, sales are highly customized because each customer comes on the call, which we call it prospect, with the unique need, and they require a very personalized approach. So if you are following a sales run book, you are putting yourself in a box where you may not be able to understand or provide the solution to your prospect. I still remember working with a startup where one of our first big customers, they had a very specific requirement. Trust me on this, if I had followed a standardized sales script, I would have missed the opportunity to address their unique needs. You know what I did? I actually took a different approach. I customized and tailored the solution just for them. They were looking for a particular connector, and my engineering team did not have the connector. And I knew that there was a very big opportunity for the company. And I talked to the engineering team during my conversation with the prospect, and they assured me that it's possible to deliver this. And I was able to customize my messaging on the call to my customer, where we won the deal together as a team. Now, again, the point is that if you have a sales run book, you are putting yourself in a box and you're following a standard. But at the early stage, you don't need a standard. You need to have enough flexibility so that you can customize your messaging and your outreach to your prospects. Now, reason number 4, learning and development. Your team growth is through hands-on learning and the problem solving. So I was advisor to a startup, where the sales teams, they were just encouraged to share their experience and learnings in a weekly meetings. Now, as we did not have a run book, during the brainstorm sessions, we came up with new strategies. We came up with new messaging. We actually uncovered new pain points that we were learning from our prospects. And as we were doing this hands-on learning and problem-solving exercise, we came up with the new approach to address customer needs. And we were flexible enough to change the product messaging. Now imagine for a second, if we had a run book, sales folks, they were not going to ask all those questions to the prospect because they were put in a box where they were not supposed to cross those lines. But if you don't have a run book, and if you're giving full freedom to your sellers to ask the questions and also go outside of those limitations and lines that you're trying to draw as part of the run book, you are gathering more information from your prospects, which is priceless. You know what? The next final part, is a culture and alignment. As you're giving this freedom, you're building a strong sales culture and you're aligning the direction towards one goal, which is gathering more revenue. So, for example, I joined a startup as an early employee. Initially, the founders, they emphasized autonomy and encouraged the whole team to take the ownership of their projects. You won't believe this approach helped the sales team so much. Instead of following a strict rule book, every seller started developing their own way of messaging the product based on the customer's pain points, based on customers' needs. You know what it did? It actually made the sales teams more engaged. And also it increased the morale of those sellers, where they started contributing towards one cause, one goal of growth and success. So if you are staying away from the Runbooks or the early stage startup, you're building a culture where everybody is leaning in, everybody's getting involved, and they are working towards one cause. Now, the question here is, if we don't follow a Runbook as an early stage startup, what's the alternative? So instead of building a Runbook, I highly recommend building a framework. A framework where you have some guiding principles, flexible processes that can evolve as you are learning more about your market, about your customers. The framework focuses heavily on the open communication, continuous feedback, and the culture of experimentation. This is very important. You're allowing your team, your sales team, to experiment with new things. And the moment you give this autonomy and then this freedom to your sales team, they become more creative. They feel like they belong to your startup and they start contributing towards the main cause, which is the revenue. So that's all for today's episode. I hope this gives you some food for thought as you navigate the excitement of your startup. And I know the early days, it's all about discovery, flexibility, and building the right culture. So thank you so much for tuning into this Better You podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please do subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends, colleagues, and your network. Until next time, keep innovating, keep iterating, keep growing, and the most important thing, stay hungry.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Better You. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into today's topic and found some valuable insights to help you on your growth journey. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a review and share Better You with your friends. Together, let's continue exploring the exciting world of tech and business. Until next time, stay curious, stay innovative, and keep growing.